Welcome to the Adept to the Brush. Today we start another project, one I've put on the shelf for a little while. Something I tend to do. I'm a hobby butterfly. I'll jump between projects. I'll get bored with something. I'll get part way through painting something else will take my attention, and I'll get distracted, or I'll get stuck and I won't know how to proceed, and I'll leave a project. Normally I use these. These are little disposable confectionery trays that come in boxes of Cadbury's mini rolls. They're absolutely brilliant for storing miniatures in, and for the meantime I've just had this guy in storage sitting waiting for me to come and have a look at. So what we've done, and this will become apparent with the following videos that come after this one, but we've got a Saturnine Terminator mounted on a converted, kit bashed musculoid or muculoid. They're the demonic snails that Horticulux Slimux is riding, and I've made them into a unit of Deathguard cavalry. They're effectively my bikers, but I've decided I wanted a leader for what is going to be a unit, and I have 3 Saturnine praetors that I'm in the process of kit bashing. You've seen one of them. It's the one with the very small jump wings. This one is riding a converted snail. So this model started off as the Horticulux Slimux model. Made some slight alterations. I've not changed the tree on this one. The saddle is from the maggotkin, giant maggoty beasts. I can't remember what they're called now, and that's also where the front end of the snail has come from, and that's been effectively super glued and attached, and then backfilled with balls of tinfoil, just shoved into the space to pack it. Just tiny little balls of tinfoil pushed in, smushed in, super glue over the top, more tinfoil balls behind them, keep pushing it in, and then once it had filled out sufficiently, I've then done a very, very basic bit of green stuff sculpting over the top to try and blend it in as best I can. It's not brilliant, it just about hides the joins, and that's all I really wanted for it. So this worm, or this snail, is going to be slightly different to the others. I'm making this one look more carnivorous and more bloody. I'm going to have this as a blood snail, or call it a blood snail, so its colours are going to be very different. The flesh is going to be more or less blood red, and the snail shell itself is going to be more of a ivory bone colour, very much in keeping with the rest of the Deathguard models, whereas the other snails will be more like Horticulux Slimus's original. I think there is one up on the channel already of one of these converted snails, but that's got a Deathguard riding it. So that's what I'm going to start on today, and the first thing I'm going to want to do is, I'm quite happy with the pitch and colour of it. However, I do need to dry brush some of the limbs and stuff to get them to look a little bit closer to what the rest of the model looks like. This is a build-up process, slowly building up layer after layer, trying to get something that looks uniform in its overall look. So I'm just loading a bit of Wraithbone back onto my brush for this. There's only a few bits of this model that I actually need to cover or attack. It's mostly the limbs that weren't done previously. I'd started him, I'd done most of his body, I'd done most of his lower legs, I just hadn't got around to doing the arms. So it's just a case of finishing these bits off, getting the bone colour in, and it's going to have a couple of other layers over the top of this as well anyway yet. Try and blend it all together. So this is the same process we did with the other Saturnine. Is it that limb? Oh, I'm using the wrong limbs. Yeah, I picked the wrong limbs. No, that's the limb for the other Saturnine. So there are 3. I have 1 done. I have 2 that I am working on. So that looks like that's the limb for the other one. I shall put him back in the box. So yeah, this is the final highlight colour. I've got several pairs of limbs. Make it all be put to one side. We are focusing on just the one. This will be a lot easier than the last one because it is far more sub-assembled. It's already in bits, which will make this a hell of a lot faster. Try and stop this from squeaking so much. All I've done with this, the body and torso that are on there are, or torso stroke body and head are again from the Molluscoid Riders. It's an Age of Sigma kit for the maggot kin. It's fairly old now, I think it's at least 5-6 years old, but it's basically the alternative builds for the Molluscoid Blight Drone Riders. One of them is holding a person by the back of the head and holding a scythe in his other hand, and this one I've just, instead of using the scythe from the maggot kin kit, I've used the scythe out of the what they call deathshroud kit, and all I've done is I've kept the handle part the same as the Saturnine, but the lower half and the top of the scythe are from the deathshroud. So I don't need to do too much more to these. Just putting a final light colour on before we put some darker tones back into that. Now I'm going to have to pick out all the metallics and stuff. The shoulder pads are not complete. They're a little bit lighter than I want them to end up at the moment. I need to come in and put a couple of shades back over, darken them down a little bit. But we'll see. I'm not entirely convinced yet. I want to change anything with them, so I'll leave those for the time being. The only other bit of the model that needs some attention is the snail rider. So I'm just going to take a different dry brush for this. So I want something with a different profile. Just moisten the brush. this bit looks far darker than the rest of the model at the moment, and that needs to change because I need it to balance and blend in. So I need to try and reduce the colour in this to bring it in line with the rest of the model. I think what's missing is it hasn't had that top highlight colour yet. So knowing where I've got to with it before I left it and being able to come back, quite useful. It's going to make painting them up a hell of a lot easier as he's in bits. So we'll probably get most of him finished before we even start tackling the snail proper. So I'm going to leave that dry. When I come back, I'm going to put metallics in, and that'll be the next step.